Today, I'm ranking every single muscle based on aesthetics, going from the least attractive gym cell muscles in F tier, all the way to crowning the most aesthetic mager muscles in the S tier. Look, you ever wonder why two guys that train just as hard look completely different? You might say genetics or even steroids, but did you know that emphasizing some muscles completely changes your look and others barely matter at all, or even make you look worse? I've been exploring this stuff ever since I started lifting, and trust me, which muscles you emphasize changes everything about how you look. Now let's get straight into it and start with the side delt. Now the delts in general, guys, we understand are one of the most important muscles when it comes to an aesthetic physique. Every aesthetic physique has overdeveloped shoulders, and side delts are the main culprit of that. They're going straight into the S tier. And we're starting off strong, but the S tier is reserved for the best of the best muscles, and the side delts absolutely get that privilege. The rear delts, I think, are one of the most underrated muscles of all time. They're going into the mager tier. Rear delts really round out your shoulders, and when you hit a side chest or various poses, the rear delt is actually very, very important. Now, the front delts are pretty overhated. Everyone says not to train them because they already get sufficient work in your pressing. Now that might be true, but the front delt can't really be too big. It's part of the shoulders, and we understand the shoulders are what shape your entire physique. So front delts are also going in the mager tier. Now we got the chest, and we know the chest can make or break your physique. If you have an overemphasized upper chest, that look is amazing. But as soon as you overdevelop your lower pecs, your entire physique starts looking, well, not so good. So the upper chest is probably gonna go in the mager tier. It helps with your frame, it helps you fill out shirts, and it gives you that superhero look. The mid and lower chest, on the other hand, they're gonna go in the maybe tier. As long as you don't overdevelop them, they're probably okay, but definitely not something you should be emphasizing in your physique. Next, we got the arms, and we got the biceps. This is one of my favorite muscles. I created an entire guide for it. If you wanna learn how to build your biceps, watch that video. The biceps are the most important part of your arm. You might think it's the triceps because they're 2/3 of your arm, but the bicep is what gives you the definition and what you see in most poses. This might be a little biased, but I think the biceps are going into the S tier. Now the triceps are a little bit different of a story. I think it's very hard to overdevelop your biceps, but triceps can be overdeveloped. If your triceps are emphasized over your biceps, then you have to have a very lean physique to really have any definition in your arm. We see so many people who are lean, but their arms don't look very good. And that's mostly because their tricep is overemphasized over their bicep. Now, don't get me wrong, the triceps are a sick muscle, especially if you're lean. But compared to the other parts of the arms, I'm going to put it in the good tier. Next, we got the brachialis, and the brachialis rests inside of your arm and sort of pushes your bicep up. It can make your arms appear wider and definitely help you fill out shirts, but definitely not as important as the biceps, and I'm going to put them in the good tier. The forearms are interesting. The big plus about forearms is that you see them no matter what. If you're in a short sleeve, if you're in a tank top, even if you have a long sleeve, you can roll the sleeves up. And I think when your forearms are lean, aesthetic, and veiny, they look sick, but they definitely don't make or break an aesthetic physique, and they have nothing to do with your overall frame. I think they're definitely a good addition, but again, nothing that'll make or break your physique. Now we got the legs, and this might be the most controversial part of this video. As you guys will see, I am not a fan of legs when it comes specifically to building an aesthetic physique. They add nothing to your frame, they could be covered with pants, and the small legs are even considered aesthetic sometimes, at least compared to overdeveloped legs. Now, enough rambling. I think the quads are honestly probably a good muscle, but I'm going to put them in the maybe tier just because there's no reason to focus on your legs, specifically when it comes to an aesthetic physique. Now, the hamstrings are even worse. I don't think you can even pose your hamstrings. Hamstrings are going into the gymcell-tier. Now, I'm not telling you not to train your hamstrings. I'm just saying when it comes to an aesthetic physiques, the hamstrings add nothing. Now, the glutes, I think, are probably the most important part of the leg when it comes to aesthetics. They actually add depth to your physique, and I think if your glutes are severely underdeveloped, then it will hinder your physique. They're also the most attractive part of the legs, and I'm putting them in the good tier. The adductors going straight into gym cell. The calves also straight into gym cell. The only thing with the calves is if they're severely underdeveloped, then that can of course hinder your physique. But that goes for any muscle. And most people don't have calves small enough to actually affect their physique. And plus, I think smaller calves are more aesthetic. Sorry, not sorry. Next, we have the back. The back is the entire foundation of your physique. It creates the V-taper. Again, the shoulders can help, but what's actually giving you the V-taper is from your back. And first and foremost, that comes from the lats. The lats are going straight into the S tier. The upper back, I think, is also very important, but for different reasons. It doesn't necessarily give you the V-taper, but it adds depth and definition to your physique, which I think is such an aesthetic look, either in a compression or straight up flexing your back. The upper back is going in the mager tier. Now, where do you guys think the erectors and lower back are going? That's correct. They're going in the gym cell tier because they have nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with your aesthetic physique. Some people claim the erectors and lower back actually adds to your physique. But for the aesthetic physique, if you're focusing on that, your priorities are completely wrong. The traps, I think, are like the mid and lower pec. They can add a little bit to your physique, but as soon as they get overdeveloped, they make your physique look extremely unaesthetic, especially because it takes away from that V-taper look. Now, it looks like we saved the best for last. The abs are going straight into the S tier, and the obliques are probably going in the mager tier. You can literally have an aesthetic physique if nothing is developed except your abs. I mean, truthfully, it's the reason we all started training and watching those how to get abs in 15 minutes videos. If you have very developed abs, it essentially guarantees that you're lean. Every aesthetic physique has a great set of abs. Now let's quickly summarize the list. In the gym cell tier, we have the calves, hamstrings, adductors, and erectors / lower back. These muscles, I think, add absolutely nothing to an aesthetic physique. In the maybe tier, we have the quads, mid and lower pecs, and the traps. These muscles can add a little bit to an aesthetic physique, but as soon as they get overdeveloped, they become a huge liability. In the good tier, we have the triceps, the brachialis, the forearms, and the glutes. These muscles are great and add a lot to an aesthetic physique, but they shouldn't necessarily be the priority. In the mager tier, we have the rear delts, front delts, upper chest, upper back, and obliques. These muscles are straight up aesthetic and should be a priority when it comes to building your aesthetic physique. And lastly, we have the S tier, where we have the abs, the side delts, the biceps, and the lats. These muscles are non-negotiable and have to be the foundation when it comes to building your aesthetic physique. So there you go. That's the aesthetic muscle tier list. Now, this might have been a controversial list. Let me know what you agree and what you disagree on. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content every single week. Thank you for watching.